Robert Sutton. The No Assholes Rule, Creating a Civilized Workplace and Surviving on What It Is Not, 2007. Greetings, dear ones. Today there will be a brief retelling. Robert Sutton. The No Assholes Rule, Creating a Civilized Workplace and Surviving on What It Is Not, 2007. Pests regularly bully or humiliate others. Everyone has a bad mood, and we behave like temporary pests. But notorious pests are people whose behavior is not a temporary outburst of emotions, but a character trait. Their bad behavior is repeated and prolonged. Hostile behavior has both physical and mental expression. It can be verbal or nonverbal. Pests anger, intimidate and humiliate their victims. At work, this is expressed in different ways. Pests interrupt, invade personal space, insult, suppress others, look aggressively or completely ignore. Pests often go unpunished, treating bosses or customers respectfully, but poorly to everyone else. Because they deserve a good reputation with their superiors, complaints from other employees are often ignored. Pests are a problem for businesses. Many companies allow bad behavior without realizing the damage it causes. When pests are not rebuffed, the morale of employees becomes worse than in a friendly, respectful, and professional atmosphere. This has a huge impact on productivity. Employees with low morale are more likely to quit, take sick leave, and are usually less productive. They can take revenge on pests by skipping work, performing it poorly, or even stealing. Pests exhaust their colleagues, both witnesses working in an aggressive environment and their direct victims. Pests in senior positions are especially dangerous. In this case, employees are under constant threat of humiliation. They spend their energy not on work, but on avoiding insults. This leads to an unproductive work environment full of fear. Pests are expensive for businesses. The quality of work decreases as the best employees leave for more friendly teams of other companies. There is no place for pests in a good working atmosphere. Too often, pests are tolerated. Their fits of rage and hostility are justified and forgiven because they are considered talented, intelligent, or irreplaceable. But this is how businesses harm themselves. All pests must be disposed of immediately. Regardless of good qualities or abilities, it makes sense to fire an employee who does not get along with colleagues, embarrasses them or humiliates them. This rule should be applied to everyone, regardless of their professionalism. Founders and heads of organizations should make it clear that all employees deserve respect. This helps to increase loyalty and morale in the team. Life is too short to tolerate pests. For this rule to work, it must be well known to all employees. The rule should also apply to customers and buyers, because their behavior also affects the work and morale of employees. Example: some airlines put pest passengers on the blacklist because they mistreated their employees, shouted at them or threatened them. More equality means fewer pests. People with high status are more likely to behave like pests. They talk the most and do what they want, without taking into account the opinions of others. They tend to see others as just a means to an end, and take credit for the success of the entire team. Example: a study was conducted in which groups of 3 students discussed various issues. One person in each group was randomly selected to evaluate other people's arguments. As a result, students with this right were more likely to violate the norms of communication. This was assessed using a plate of cookies. Students with higher status were more likely to pick up the last cookie, chew with their mouths open and crumble more. A similar effect is seen in the business world. The greater the difference in status between managers and employees, the more often the latter are treated disrespectfully. To reduce the likelihood of sabotage, it is necessary to reduce the social distance between employees. Relationships will become more respectful, especially between supervisors and subordinates. Make the wage difference as small as possible. Earnings are the most important sign of status. A less noticeable difference in pay will reduce the difference in status, leading to aggressive behavior. Sabotage can be beneficial, but motivating employees through a system of incentives is more effective. Usually, management groups are very similar to baboon groups. There is fierce rivalry between competing individuals, and often the most aggressive ones win. And although managers who act in an aggressive and reckless manner are often considered unpleasant, they are also perceived as literate and resourceful. Callousness and ruthlessness can be a huge advantage in the business world. This can be explained by evolution. The most aggressive and strong became the leader of the tribe. Therefore, our brain automatically associates aggression with high status. But this does not mean that it is necessary to raise pests to managers or tolerate aggression on their part. The methods that are effective in ousting rivals do not determine the correct management style. Instead of motivating subordinates, they often have the opposite effect. Two things motivate people best: incentives and recognition. These techniques bring better results than aggression and punishment, and increase the morale of the team. The best employees who can easily find a job in another company are unlikely to remain in a negative atmosphere. Pests disperse all the cream of the collective. On the contrary, firing them will help attract and retain talented employees. Cooperation is the key to a civilized, productive working atmosphere. The competition between companies is fierce and endless. This behavior is too often carried over into the company's internal culture. Healthy competition is useful. Ambition motivates employees to make more efforts, take risks, and come up with new ideas. Competition also helps to select the best candidates for promotion. But in the pursuit of promotion, employee confrontation can harm the organization. Excessive internal competition weakens the company, creating an unproductive atmosphere. Therefore, in most successful companies, internal competition is restrained, and the culture of cooperation is strengthened. It is necessary to notice and reward cooperation. The choice of words has an amazing effect on the company's culture. Replace aggressive, militant phrases, enemy, battlefield, etc., with more positive ones, emphasizing the spirit of cooperation, help, justice, community. Even simple substitutions like we, my, our, them, us subconsciously remind employees that they are a team and encourage cooperation, not rivalry, which takes time and energy. Avoid the pest, or become one yourself. The proverb says, "With whom you will fall in love, you will get enough of it." Surrounded by angry and aggressive people, you run the risk of adopting their behavior. Working in a rude and disrespectful atmosphere, you get so used to it that you start behaving the same way. This behavior extends to personal life as well. Example. The author notes that he began to treat his wife worse, spending too much time among pests. In order not to become a pest both at work and in your personal life, avoid the company of these. But it is not always possible to choose colleagues. If you can't avoid the pest, try to have minimal contact with it. Think of him as a virus, avoid close contact, as if he has the flu. If you have already spent a lot of time and energy on a relationship with a pest, it is more difficult to distance yourself. Therefore, whenever you encounter a pest, do not get close to it. Keep an emotional distance. In many companies, it is impossible to completely avoid contact with the pest. Working with or under him can demoralize you. It is necessary to develop a strategy that will help you stay unharmed. The main thing is not to let the pest pull you down to its level. Try to stay calm, do not respond to aggression, and do not take offensive words to heart. Remember that the person you are dealing with is just a pest, regardless of his position. Free table for calculating income in investments. Take the interaction with the pest positively. Remember, the problem is temporary. You are not the cause of the problem. It won't ruin your whole life. If a person is a pest, that's his problem, not yours. Always hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Happiness and sadness is on the borderline between what you expect and what you experience. Therefore, when dealing with a pest, be prepared for the worst, but remember that you are not to blame for anything. Fight the pests. To spoil a conversation, whether in the office, at a party, or in everyday life, one pest is enough. Even if the others behave normally, one person can spoil the mood for everyone. The negative affects our mood 5 times more than the positive. That is, 5 nice people who will praise you and share good news can neutralize one pest. Therefore, follow one rule in your professional and personal life: fight pests. It is also important not to become one yourself. If it's too late, try to change your behavior. Honestly, take a look at yourself in the mirror and ask, when was the last time you behaved like a pest? It's very simple not to be a pest. Be friendly and respectful towards people and expect the same in return. Life is too short to tolerate pests. Above all,